Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Barnabas. Today we're going to get into what I'm going to call specialized fashion, which is fashion brands and items that have a very specific target audience. In this case, dark alternative brands that might even label itself as Gothic clothing. If you're someone who can say they have a dark and even gloomy vibe to your style, then you might already shop at places like this, or you might wonder if you even should. Well, in this video, as someone who has before, I'm gonna go over some pros and cons of brands like these, as well as my experience shopping at places like this. And without dragging that on any further than I have to, let's get on with the video. Let's try to be positive. Positivity is good. So I am gonna start out with the pros. So if you're someone who's just starting to venture out in their style, shopping at brands like this makes it way easier to find a darker look. Brands like this are usually fashion forward, even experimental or avant-garde. I would definitely recommend this to someone who's a little bit younger and who's just starting out to dress how they want to. Whether it's just a phase or it's the first time someone can really start presenting in a way that agrees with them on the inside. These fashion brands might just be an attractive option to dip your foot in the water, so to speak. They do offer styles that are really far from what you could expect from mainstream fashion brands, or most clothing stores that you find in a shopping mall. These styles are darker, bolder, and can be pretty provocative. If you had no idea where to start to get closer to the idea you had in your head, you might quickly learn what you like and what you're comfortable wearing from clothing like this. You'll either learn that these are the clothes that you've been imagining your whole life, and it's what you've been born to wear, or some of the designs are a bit much for you, but it is a step in the right direction. Either way, you are learning something about yourself, and I just can't say that's a bad thing. Self-expression can be fun, but even divisive for many people, even these days. So it's no surprise to me that someone past their teens might branch out and try to get into styles like this. Fun fact, I'm not sure if they still do it, but someone in the Gothic community just starting to get into the music and experiment with their style in a darker way was called Baby Bat or Baby Bats. If one of your goals in fashion is to not look basic no matter what, then these brands are definitely not that. Some people really just don't like basic clothing, and I really understand wanting to be way more expressive with how you dress. If you're shopping and you find it very hard to find things in popular clothing stores that vibe with you and lean into a darker, possibly more artistic kind of look that you want, then these shops might be worth a look. There are such extreme styles with zippers, straps, studs, and other details like that on lots of featured clothing on this side of fashion. If you don't do basic, then you might already find yourself having a few favorite alternative or Gothic shops. I've noticed that most of the clothing does come in darker colors, so that saves you time too if you don't like to wear bright, saturated shades. Since they're specialized shops, the demographic is casting a much smaller net to appeal to a smaller, more focused audience. So in that sense, it's more likely to have something that attracts you, at least, if you are into darker themes and aesthetics in fashion. Something that I used to do a lot, and I think I even still do it now, is I'll get centerpieces from here. And by centerpiece, I mean one part of my outfit that I purposefully chose to give a specific vibe or draw the most attention to out of everything. I still have a belt chain that has a design that I've never seen replicated somewhere else before. I might just have to go to a hardware store and make another one myself, because this one that I do have is not gonna last much longer. Something I really like to do is have a studded belt or something that could have come from one of these goth shops and have the rest of my outfit be pretty plain and basic. For example, I'll get the pieces like the shirt and the jeans from something like Levi's or Fruit of the Loom, and then get a belt from Hot Topic or something. Or I'll pick things that have proportions and fits that complement and play off of this one thing in the outfit. In this case, the belt. So I'll wear a shirt or a top that's cropped just enough to show small glimpses of the metal studs of the belt. I'd do the same type of thing if I had a pair of New Rock boots or some type of boot that had metal or silver details going along the sides of it. I would want those parts to stand out. They have a very distinct look, so I'd want them to be the busiest part of what I'm wearing. That's just personally how I dress. I usually like to have one thing that's super busy at most, and the rest of it just pretty basic and plain. But I'm just using that as an example if you're someone who just wants some ideas from this video. I don't have a pair because I just don't want to pay those prices for the quality of what I'd get. But let me know if you do have a pair of these New Rock boots and you can vouch for the quality. Because I'm just going off of reviews that I've seen online and on YouTube and videos like that. I have a lot of boots and I want them to be well made if I'm gonna pay over a certain price point for them. Neutral things about shopping at these shops. There's only one thing I could think of. It's like an edgy fast fashion shop. If you're gonna shop at Zara or something, then it's basically the same thing but more focused, more personal. I can't think of a word, but you know what I mean. Okay, that's enough of the positivity. Let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get negative. Let's start hating on shit. I'm gonna start out with the most heinous of sins from these brands, and that's charging too much. Like I said before, it is almost like fast fashion. A lot of these places have the same type of production quality, but since it's more niche and it's not mainstream, they're just gonna charge more because there might be potentially less customers. It's not as popular as something like Forever 21, so things might be more expensive, even though it's still the same kind of thing. If you have places like this that you shop at already, then maybe you won't mind paying a little bit more just because you love their designs that much, or because you're very familiar with it and you already know that you're gonna like a lot of what they have to offer. But as for someone who's just starting to shop at these places or wondering if they should, I personally found it hard to find good quality, long-lasting pieces from shops like this. Like their boots or anything that looks like it should be leather, like belts or bracelets. And that's because they make them out of something that's called pleather. And no matter what, things that are made from pleather are going to degrade without you even wearing or using it. Look at the absolute state of this thing. And I haven't even worn this in years, but it looks like I wore this every day for the last 5. It's peeling. Not to mention the silver paint on whatever type of metal alloy this is chipping, so it looks kind of orange. Not sure if the camera's picking that up. Most products that look like leather from these shops are going to be made of this type of material, and it just won't last no matter how careful you are with it, unfortunately. With my boots, I make sure that they're leather or a material that I know can last and be kept up. I like to polish, brush, and shine my boots. This might be extra, but it does make them last as long as they possibly can. When I find that I really like a piece of clothing, I want to wear it for as long as I possibly can. I don't shop things that are trendy way too much. I just more focus on if I really like the piece itself. There's things that I've had for multiple years in my wardrobe now that are still going strong, and I still am gonna keep them in the rotation for as long as I can make them last. Just imagine how bad a jacket could look if it was made out of this. And unfortunately, you're not going to be paying much less for these things most of the time, just because they're not real leather. I recommend just getting a leather jacket secondhand from thrifting or secondhand websites. My favorite jackets, I either got secondhand for very cheap, or I got it from a friend or something like that. Which I definitely recommend you doing instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a jacket that won't last you a year or 2. Cheap jewelry. Obviously, the material issue extends to the jewelry too. They're going to be made of cheaper metals that degrade in color, they'll chip, turn brown, and probably leave your skin green. Granted, you're probably not going to these shops for long-lasting jewelry, but they do have pretty fun and interesting designs. I get almost emotionally attached to the jewelry I have, if it's a unique design that I love. So if I knew something wouldn't last but I liked the design of it, it would leave me split on getting it. Because on one hand, I really like the design and style, but on the other, I know I'll probably only get a few wears out of it. Since I personally don't take my rings off a whole lot, I'll wash my hands, I'll take showers with them. So a ring that's not an actual solid material will definitely not last me. And it won't last you if you do the same thing with your jewelry. Another thing that could be seen as negative from shopping at these places, they might typecast your look. It'll limit you to a very edgy, very dark, and even very exaggerated style at times. So everything you find at these places is going to be pretty hit or miss. since it's designed to be so heavily leaning towards the dark, edgy, scary people, or what might attract them. You could definitely still find something you like, you just might have to look a little bit longer, or be willing to wear bolder styles. I had these Trip NYC pants that I was dying to get when I was younger. They have a pretty cool look and I like them a lot more than I thought I would, but I definitely don't see myself wearing these a lot in the future or at all. But that's just me and one example. Maybe you like to go for pieces like these and you live for fun clothing and fun colors. I love the idea and vision of a lot of pieces like this, but I personally want it to be more subtle somehow. The best way I can explain it is with an example. In superhero movies, especially from the mid-2000s, the costume designs are based off of the comic book characters, sure. But there's an attempt to ground these costumes and characters in this reality. They try to make it believable that this thing could actually exist. What it would look like in real life, how it could be practical, that it isn't just a cartoon. With clothing and fashion, I love Gothic themes and I love darker looks. Just like the gritty movie redesigns I'm so enamored with, I want it to be grounded a bit. I want it to be practical. For me, I want what I wear to somewhat represent my interests, and I don't want my look, though unique, to look so out of place that I feel like it's a costume. That way, to me, it feels more believable. And if I can believe in what I'm wearing, then I can feel more connected to how I choose to present myself. Okay, maybe it's just clothing and I took it a little bit too seriously there. But I like to put this level of thought into certain things. It makes it more fun, more personal, more genuine. That's going to be it for this video. Like and subscribe if you like this one. Be sure you're following me on Instagram for any personal style advice, or even if you want to just say hi. I also post more detailed outfit pictures there if you wanted to check those out. Thank you for watching. If you're still here, it really means a lot. And I will see you in the next video. See you later.